The Temporal Furnace. The clock tower in downtown Boston struck midnight, but Angelica Jones knew time had stopped making sense 3 days ago. She hovered above the city, her microwave powers casting an amber glow against the unnatural aurora that had been bleeding across the sky since Tuesday. The cosmic radiation readings were off the charts, and something was fundamentally wrong with reality itself. Below, she could see the effects of the temporal distortions. A businessman walked backward down Beacon Street, his briefcase floating upward. A murder of crows flew in perfect reverse formation, their caws echoing from tomorrow. Street lamps flickered between past and future states, some Victorian gas fixtures, others sleek holographic displays that wouldn't be invented for decades. Firestar to X-Men base, she whispered into her comm device. Though she wasn't entirely certain the X-Men existed in this fractured timeline, static answered her, punctuated by what sounded like her own voice calling for help from somewhere in the past. A ripple in space-time opened beside the clock tower, and through it stepped a figure that made Angelica's blood run cold. At first glance, he appeared to be a man in his 40s, wearing a pristine white laboratory coat that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. But as she watched, his form flickered like a damaged film reel, sometimes young, sometimes ancient, sometimes something that hurt to perceive directly. Dr. Marcus Templeton, she breathed, recognizing him from the briefing files. The physicist who had vanished during a cosmic ray experiment 6 months ago. Now she understood what had happened to him. He noticed her immediately, tilting his head at an angle that was subtly wrong, as if his neck could bend in directions anatomy shouldn't allow. "Ah, Firestar." His voice reached her despite the distance, carried on impossible currents of temporal energy. "How delightful. You arrived precisely when you were supposed to, which is to say, exactly when you weren't." Angelica descended slowly, keeping her powers ready. The heat radiating from her body created a small pocket of normal time, she noticed. The snowflakes that had been falling upward began to obey gravity within her immediate vicinity. "What have you done, Templeton?" she called out. He laughed, and the sound came from 3 different directions at once. Past, present, and future versions of the same cruel amusement. "I've solved the greatest puzzle of existence, my dear. Time isn't linear, you see. It's a spiral, and I've learned to walk perpendicular to it." As he spoke, cosmic rays danced around him like living serpents of pure energy. They whispered secrets that had never been spoken and truths that would never be discovered. Angelica felt her own powers responding to the radiation, but there was something wrong with the resonance, like a musical note played on a broken instrument. "The experiment," she said, pieces clicking into place. "You weren't trying to study cosmic rays. You were trying to weaponize them." "Study? Weaponize?" Templeton's form flickered more rapidly now, cycling through ages and possibilities. "Such limited thinking. I was trying to understand the fundamental nature of causality itself, and I succeeded beyond my wildest dreams, or perhaps my darkest nightmares. The distinction has become rather meaningless." He gestured to the chaos around them. "Do you see what I've accomplished? Past, present, and future coexisting in perfect discord. Every moment that ever was or ever could be, happening simultaneously. It's beautiful, isn't it?" Angelica watched in horror as a child's birthday party from 1987 materialized in the street below, overlapping with a funeral from 2019 and what appeared to be a medieval plague procession. The temporal layers were becoming denser, more unstable. "You're destroying reality," she said. "Destroying? No, no, no." Templeton wagged a finger that aged and youthened as she watched. "I'm revealing its true nature. Reality was always a lie, a comfortable illusion we told ourselves to avoid confronting the cosmic truth. There is no now, Firestar. There is only the endless, writhing serpent of time devouring its own tail." The cosmic rays around him intensified, and Angelica felt them pulling at something deep within her cellular structure. Her powers were microwave-based, a specific frequency of electromagnetic radiation. But cosmic rays were different, raw, primal energy from the deep reaches of space, carrying information from the birth and death of stars. "You're mad," she whispered. "Mad, perhaps, but madness and enlightenment often wear the same face." His eyes, currently a swirling vortex of centuries, fixed on her with predatory interest. "You interest me, Firestar. Your powers, they're more similar to mine than you realize. Electromagnetic radiation, cosmic rays, were both children of the same fundamental forces." He raised his hand, and reality bent around him like heated glass. "Join me. Let me show you what lies beyond the prison of linear time. Together, we could reshape existence itself." The offer came with a psychic weight that made Angelica stumble. For a moment she could see what he was offering: infinite knowledge, the ability to move freely through time, to prevent every tragedy, to witness every wonder. The temptation was enormous. But then she looked down at the temporal chaos below. A mother from 1952 was searching frantically for her son, who was simultaneously 3 years old in a Victorian nursery and 37 years old in a modern office building. An elderly man was trying to have a conversation with his teenage self, but their words kept arriving in the wrong order. "No," she said firmly. "This isn't enlightenment, it's torture. You're trapping everyone in their worst moments and their best ones simultaneously, making it impossible to process either." Templeton's expression darkened, cycling through disappointment, rage, and something that might have been regret. "How pedestrian. You choose the comfortable lie over the terrible truth. I choose sanity over madness, then you choose extinction." He unleashed a wave of cosmic radiation that hit Angelica like a physical blow, but instead of burning her, the energy tried to scatter her across time. She felt herself beginning to fragment. A child in Phoenix, a teenager discovering her powers. A young woman joining the X-Men, possibilities stretching into futures she might never live. Fighting against the temporal dissolution, she focused her powers inward, using the heat she generated to create a pocket of stable space-time around herself. The effort was exhausting, like trying to hold back an ocean with her bare hands. "Clever," Templeton admitted, "but futile. Do you know what cosmic rays really are, Firestar? They're messages from dying stars, the final screams of collapsed realities. And I've learned to read them." He began to speak in a language that predated human speech, words that described concepts evolution had never prepared minds to comprehend. The cosmic rays responded to his call, forming increasingly complex patterns around him. Through those patterns, Angelica caught glimpses of other timelines, realities where Earth had never formed, where humanity had transcended physical existence, where the universe itself was nothing but a fleeting thought in some vast alien mind. The temporal distortions were spreading outward from their position. Soon all of Boston would be caught in the chaos, then Massachusetts, then New England. Eventually, the entire planet would be trapped in the same nightmarish state of temporal superposition. "Why?" she shouted over the growing maelstrom. "What's the point of all this?" Templeton paused in his incantations, and for a moment his form stabilized into that of a tired, broken man. "Because I've seen what's coming, Firestar. The end of everything. The heat death of the universe. The final cosmic ray that will carry the last echo of the last thought before eternal silence. And I refuse to accept it. So you'd rather trap everyone in an eternal moment of chaos? I'd rather give them a chance to experience everything at once than let them experience nothing forever." In that moment of clarity, Angelica understood. Templeton wasn't evil, he was terrified. The cosmic rays hadn't just shown him how to manipulate time. They'd shown him the ultimate fate of all existence. His madness was born from knowledge too vast and terrible for any mind to bear. But understanding didn't make him less dangerous. "There's another way," she said, an idea forming as she spoke. "You're right that cosmic rays carry information from dying stars, but they also carry information from living ones, from birth, from creation, from renewal." She began to carefully modulate her own powers, not to attack, but to communicate. Microwave radiation was at its core, just another form of electromagnetic energy, if she could find the right frequency. "What are you doing?" Templeton demanded, sensing the change. "I'm sending a message," Angelica replied. She had never attempted anything like this before, but desperation bred innovation. She began broadcasting on frequencies that corresponded to stellar formation rather than stellar death, the electromagnetic signatures of new stars being born, new worlds taking shape, new possibilities emerging from cosmic chaos. The cosmic rays around Templeton wavered as if confused by this new input. For the first time since he'd appeared, uncertainty flickered across his features. "Impossible," he whispered. "The rays only carry death. I've listened to them for months. They sing only of endings." "You've been listening to the wrong frequency," Angelica said, pouring more power into her broadcast. "Yes, stars die. Civilizations fall, universes end. But they also begin. For every cosmic scream of death there's a cosmic song of birth." The temporal distortions around them began to stabilize as her signal grew stronger. The overlapping time periods started to separate, finding their proper places in the flow of causality. The businessman resumed walking forward, the crows corrected their flight pattern, and the street lamps settled into their appropriate eras. Templeton staggered as his temporal anchor began to destabilize. "No," he gasped. "You don't understand. The silence at the end of everything will be followed by the first sound of something new," Angelica finished. "That's what hope means, Dr. Templeton. Not the certainty that things will get better, but the faith that after every ending comes a new beginning." His form flickered more rapidly now, cycling between ages as the cosmic rays released their hold on him. For just a moment she saw him as he had been before the experiment, a brilliant scientist driven by curiosity rather than terror. I can't let go," he whispered. "If I return to linear time, I'll have to face what I've learned. The knowledge will drive me bad all over again. Then let me help you carry it," Angelica offered, extending her hand. "You don't have to bear the weight of cosmic truth alone." He looked at her hand for a long moment, and in his eyes she saw the war between fear and hope, between the comfort of madness and the courage to remain sane in an insane universe. Finally, slowly, he reached out and took her hand. The moment their skin touched, the cosmic rays around them sang in perfect harmony, frequencies of death and birth, ending and beginning, all woven together into a song that was neither beautiful nor terrible, but simply true. Templeton's form stabilized into that of a middle-aged man, exhausted and haunted but fundamentally human. The temporal distortions collapsed entirely, releasing the trapped moments back into their proper places in the flow of time. "The knowledge," he said quietly. "It's still there, the certainty of ending. But so is the certainty of beginning," Angelica replied. "And the knowledge that we're not facing either one alone." As the first light of dawn broke over Boston, a natural dawn, arriving at its appointed time, the two of them stood together in the wreckage of yesterday's chaos, holding on to each other and the fragile hope that tomorrow might be different from today, but no less worth living. The cosmic rays continued to fall from the heavens, carrying their eternal cargo of death and birth, ending and beginning. But now their song held a new note, not of despair or false hope, but of simple, stubborn human endurance in the face of an infinite, incomprehensible, and ultimately mysterious universe. And in that song, Angelica Jones found something she had never expected to discover in a horror story: peace.